On the opening day, the Cosmic System freshmen chose their soul beasts from their past lives. The class monitor, standing at the head of the class, chose a 9-tailed silver fox with the purest bloodline. Meanwhile, as the student ranked dead last, I could only receive a brown bear with the most muddled bloodline. Not long after, the extreme frost apocalypse arrived. I, who had formed a contract with the brown bear, shared its innate cold-resistant skill, but the class monitor's 9-tailed fox, because it grew too slowly, froze to death on the very first day of the apocalypse. In a fit of jealousy, the class monitor and other classmates killed me and the brown bear, then dismembered us. Opening my eyes again, I had returned to the day of choosing soul beasts. The homeroom teacher brought out 30 young soul beasts in order of entrance, scores from highest to lowest, to choose a life-bound beast. Being the last ranked, I could only wait for everyone else to finish choosing. The last remaining soul beast was that brown bear with the muddled bloodline. Just as I was about to reach out my hand to take it, a female student suddenly shouted, "Wait!" and "Lack-own." The class monitor, who had just finished choosing first, stood up abruptly. In her arms, she cradled a young white fox, its body snow-white and almost transparent. She quickly stepped in front of me. "I'm not giving it to you. I want the brown bear." The whole class was stunned by this action. Even the homeroom teacher knit his brows. Everyone clearly understood that this white fox had the purest bloodline among these young beasts, with an ancient bloodline concentration as high as 80%. She offered no explanation and stuffed the white fox into my arms. Then, as if afraid I would change my mind, she quickly picked up the lonely brown bear from the box. And Lack-own, choosing a life-bound soul beast is no joke. It concerns the limits of your future. Quickly swap back with Huang Yan. Student Huang Yan needs this white fox more than you do. Your grades are good. You can cultivate quickly with any soul beast. But student Huang Yan's talent is average. If she goes with a muddled blood brown bear like that, her life is as good as ruined. I am volunteering to swap with her. No one could understand why Lack-own would give up the white fox for a mediocre bloodline. These words received a round of applause from the whole class. Everyone was moved by Lack-own's selflessness. The homeroom teacher nodded appreciatively at her. Lack-own. The most important thing in cultivation is the Tao heart. You have a pure and kind heart. Even if the soul beast is a bit inferior, you will surely achieve success in the future. Then she frowned at me. Huang Yan, why are you still dazed? Quickly thanked Lack-own. I blinked and pushed the white fox forward. No need. I think. I quite like that brown bear. And Lack-own's eyes panicked for a moment. And she hugged the brown bear even tighter. The way she held the little bear made it look as if I were bullying her. Huang Yan, don't test me. I truly want to swap with you. I won't fall for your tricks. I intended to keep speaking the truth. But before my words were finished, a sharp pain suddenly came from the tiger's mouth area of my right hand. Looking down, it turned out that the little white fox had bitten me. Drops of blood were seeping from the wound. The little white fox stuck out its tongue and licked my skin in a numbing way. In that instant, I was actively connected to the white fox's spiritual energy. Furthermore, it was a life and death bloodline contract. The classmates, seeing this scene, let out jeers. And here I thought Huang Yan really didn't want it. Turns out she was just acting. On one hand saying she doesn't need it, on the other hand, secretly forming a contract. Afraid the class monitor would change her mind, right? What a hypocrite. After contracting with me, the white fox dizzily closed its eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Hearing the gossip around me, my face turned red with anger. They didn't know that I truly detested this useless thing in my hands. After being forced into the contract by the white fox, I could only endure the contemptuous gazes of others and return to my seat aggrieved. Only I understood clearly that this expensive-looking white fox would become a burden in just half a month. No, not just me. Lack-own also knew. From the moment she gave up the white fox to snatch the brown bear, I understood that she had also been reborn in the previous life, and Lack-own chose the white fox while I could only contract with the brown bear no one wanted. Unexpectedly, half a month later, the extreme frost apocalypse descended. The global temperature plummeted to -50 degrees. The earth seemed to become an ice cellar. The white fox had a noble bloodline, but its growth cycle was too long. When the apocalypse came, it was still just a tiny, useless thing that only knew how to suckle. On that very first day, it froze to death. My brown bear, under my meticulous care, had entered its juvenile period and awakened the ability to share its talent. In that harsh cold of -50 degrees, it shared its cold resistance talent with me. I became the person least afraid of the cold in the end times. I followed the school's 5-man superpower team out to search for necessities. On the way, Lac Owen several times enticed the brown bear, wanting it to dissolve its contract with me to follow her, but the brown bear resolutely refused. After being rejected many times, Lac Owen turned shame into rage and spread a rumor that eating brown bear meat could grant cold resistance. Thus, during another outing for supplies, Lac Owen and others killed me and the brown bear. In those man-eating end times, we became food to fill their bellies. I looked worriedly at the brown bear in Lac Owen's arms. In the previous life, it and I were extremely close, companions who could trust each other with our lives. I didn't expect that in this life, it would be snatched by Lac Owen. I didn't care too much about losing the cold resistance skill. I just felt pity for the brown bear following Lac Owen, not knowing if it would be starved or suffer from the cold. While I was staring at the brown bear in a daze, I saw it also rolling its eyes to look at me. When our eyes met, the little brown bear, only the size of a toy, winked at me twice. Not once, not 3 times, but twice. My heart suddenly leaped with joy. Winking twice was the signal between me and the brown bear in the previous life. It meant, rest assured. From my action of trying to keep it earlier, it had realized I was also reborn. And now it was using the same method to tell me it was reborn too. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but look at Lac Owen with eyes wishing her peace. The brown bear isn't as gentle and simple as it looks. It's a genuine schemer. While I and the brown bear were communicating with our eyes, my fingertip was suddenly taken into a small, warm mouth. Looking down, it was my little ancestor who, besides being beautiful, was good for nothing. The white fox woke up. I am not a useless thing. A voice carrying arrogance but still smelling of milk rang out. Also, hey man, you are not allowed to look at that ugly black-skinned thing. I used my other hand to poke the little white fox and asked softly, are you speaking? The little white fox huffed pretentiously. So lazy! She shifted her body in my arms. I felt I shouldn't call the little girl white fox, but rather princess. My name is Li Diep. You man, if you want to call me princess, that's fine too. I poked her head. Kid, who taught you this power delusion style? On the podium, the homeroom teacher was explaining how to draw the contract formation. Most contracts are initiated by humans. The beast tribes are naturally proud. Even in their relatively gentle juvenile period, they extremely rarely initiate a contract with a human. After finishing the points to note, the students began trying to form contracts with their soul beasts, except for me. Who would believe it if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes? I had been forced into a contract by a noble white fox. Li Diep, why did you actively contract with me? That woman, she stinks too much. Lac Owen is the school belle, after all. There are so many male students chasing her. That's because their eyes are blind. Their souls stink too. And what about me? You're okay? Sweet. I suddenly understood why Li Diep forced a contract with me. It was like a little sweet cake being thrown into a pile of manure. Who wouldn't be terrified? Out of boredom, I scratched Li Diep's chin. The feeling of touching white fox fur was truly great, soft and thick, like a giant cotton candy. Sometimes I played with her ears, sometimes I kneaded her belly, and finally, I couldn't resist reaching for that large, fluffy, seductive tail. They say you shouldn't touch a fox's tail, but she was still a child. Of course I couldn't pass it up. The little white fox's large, fluffy tail was meant for her owner to stroke hard, but as soon as my hand touched the tail, Li Diep stiffened as if struck by lightning. From beneath the pure white fur, a pale pink color emerged. Stop it, you man! You rogue! That look of hers was exactly like a young bride being taken advantage of. I blinked and awkwardly withdrew my hand, conveniently shifting the blame back. A child shouldn't have so many dark things in her head. Li Diep was so angry her eyes welled with tears. She turned her head away in a huff, ignoring me. In class, Huang was the first to finish drawing the contract formation. A joyful expression appeared on her face as she began the process of signing with the brown bear. The formation enveloped the bear and began spinning at high speed. The brown bear inside the formation secretly manipulated the spiritual energy to change 2 strokes of the drawing. Thus, an equality contract secretly turned into a master-servant contract. The brown bear was the master, and Huang was the servant. This formation was something the brown bear and I discovered in a ruin during our training in the previous life. I didn't expect it to be used by the brown bear to trap Huang now. After the contract was successfully signed, the brown bear gave me a smug look. I secretly gave it a thumbs up under the table. This is why you should never offend a simple person. A sulky voice rang in my ear. Truly a bad man. How am I bad? You played with my tail and then made eyes at another man, and an ugly black-skinned one at that. Li Diep sounded more and more aggrieved as she spoke. I let out a sigh so small no one heard it. There was one more crime to add. Being baselessly jealous. The students in class had all finished signing their contracts. The homeroom teacher gave everyone a portion of cultivation materials. I kept 1 spiritual fruit and gave the rest to Li Diep to eat like snacks. The 19 spiritual fruits were crunched up by Li Diep like potato chips. Before even leaving the class, my spiritual fruits were completely digested. The students looked at me with shocked eyes. Is this guy crazy? He gave a whole week's worth of resources to a white fox? Did he even listen to the lecture? Soul beasts' growth cycles are very slow. You can't rush feeding them. Spiritual fruits are mainly for one's own cultivation. A white fox following him is truly a waste of resources. Even the teacher frowned. Student Huang Yan, pay attention. Spiritual fruits are distributed in fixed monthly amounts. If wasted, the school won't provide replacements. I knew he was reminding me not to be too indulgent. Yes, I understand. To be honest, in the previous life I was very generous to the brown bear. While others shared resources at a 4-to-1 ratio, the bear and I were always 50-50. I believe that as companions, it should be half and half. But even with the brown bear, I was never like I was with the white fox. At this moment, 19 fruits for her, 1 for me. Not only did the students think I was crazy, I thought I was going crazy myself. Because I suddenly remembered, the white fox and I signed a bloodline contract. In an equality contract, if one side dies, it doesn't affect the other. But a bloodline contract is living and dying together. If the white fox freezes to death on the first day of the apocalypse like in the last life, then I can't survive either. So now, this little ancestor's life is more important than anything. For the remaining time, you all find a place to cultivate. I carried the white fox outside. As I passed Huang, she suddenly leaned over to block my path, using a voice only I could hear. I know. You are also reborn. This life, it's my turn to contract with the brown bear to hold the cold resistance ability. I smirked. Then you better try your best to survive. A look of smugness flashed in Huang's eyes. Quote, I have the brown bear. Of course I will live. As for you, 2 useless things, just wait to freeze to death on the first day of the apocalypse. The white fox in my arms lazily opened an eye. Suddenly, she lifted her rump toward Huang and let out a foul fart. The composure on Huang's face immediately shattered. She screamed and backed away several steps. Huang Yan, are you sick? Get this stinking fox away from me. I gave a snort, cradled the white fox, and turned to leave. Raising a soul beast is truly a bottomless pit. How to get a large amount of spiritual stones had become a dilemma. As I tousled the fox's fur while thinking, I suddenly remembered that in the previous life, before the apocalypse, the media reported on a small spiritual vein. Based on the current time, no one should have discovered it yet. I immediately took the white fox and drove to the location of the vein. But when I arrived, I found that Huang was 1 step ahead of me. She had brought over 20 strong men who were currently mining there. Huang was a daughter of a great family. Her power and connections were worlds apart from a commoner like me. Standing on the outskirts of the spiritual vein, I could only watch with wide eyes as glittering spiritual stones were dug up. The white fox in my arms stared at the stones, greedily swallowing her saliva. I covered her eyes with my hand. Don't look, kid. These spiritual fruits are poor quality. Let Dad take you to beg for food elsewhere. I carried the white fox away, looking back 3 times for every step. Seeing that we were almost far away, a joyful voice suddenly entered my head. Brother, is it you? My steps froze. Brown Bear? Then I asked, you can use voice transmission already? That woman, Anlak On, invested heavily in me. She used a spirit soul herb so I could transmit via spirit. Brother, take the white fox to find a place to rest first. When the spiritual fruits are finished being dug up, I will call you. After finishing the dialogue with the brown bear, I returned to my senses to see a beautiful, large fox face looking at me with great suspicion. Li Diep placed her 2 front paws on my shoulders, her arrogant fox face almost touching the tip of my nose. Her warm breath fanned my face. No wild fox smell, but rather a faint, pure fragrance. It's over. You actually dare to have an affair. I grabbed the fox by the neck with one hand to put her down and lightly pinched her soft face as punishment. Kid, watch your word choice. Li Diep sniffled, her voice actually sounding aggrieved. Quote, I didn't say anything wrong. Your soul has that guy's scent. It's that black-skinned one, right? I knit my brows. This little fox's nose is truly sharp. Li Diep continued her accusation. We white foxes, once we sign a bloodline contract with someone, that person is our lifelong partner. You are not allowed to date that brown bear. Kid, how old are you? Do you even know what a partner is? Li Diep's eyes welled with tears about to fall. Hoo-hoo! Her claws moved as if doing a brushstroke in the air. I leaned my face closer and made a funny face at her. A wet, sharp claw lightly touched my cheek before the culprit quickly retracted her head. Motherling NHI said, I have already kissed you. You are my partner. Since I've kissed you, others aren't allowed to kiss you. I stood stunned, the corner of my mouth twitching. I was actually being teased by a tiny white fox. Leaving the spiritual vein matters to the brown bear. I carried Li Diep back to the car, turned on the AC, ate watermelon, and even opened a documentary on the control screen. Not long into the film, my eyes started getting heavy. When I woke up, it was pitch black. The mountains were desolate and remote. Not a single light, just silence as thick as paper. At this time, the brown bear's transmission arrived. Quickly, come here, they've all left. I replied, looking down to see Li Diep staring at me warily and reproachfully. I suddenly felt a bit guilty, the feeling of being caught in an affair. We didn't say anything more. She turned her head away. Don't explain! I'm not listening! For the rest of today, I won't pay any attention to you. Under the night sky, I held the white fox and stepped toward the spiritual vein. Sure enough, as the brown bear said, there was no one left around the vein, only a concealment formation left behind. Seeing me approach the vein, the white fox was very curious, but because she said she wouldn't pay attention to me, she just pursed her little lips and held back from asking. I walked around the formation. Not long after, the brown bear opened the formation and poked its head out. Now it could also speak. It waved its paw at me. Brother, quickly come here! The white fox in my arms, upon seeing the brown bear, bared her teeth and put on a fierce, threatening face. I immediately covered her mouth and smiled apologetically at the bear. Quote, the white fox is a bit mischievous. The brown bear led the way. It's okay, brother. And don't blame little sister. The white fox's muffled voice was still very loud. Let me go. I must bite it to death. Today I must bite it to death for sure. Huang Yan, don't stop me. No woman can endure the scene of her man having an affair right in front of her. I am still alive and well here, yet you dare to sneakily date this black-skinned green tea? So noisy. I glanced at the spiritual energy, fluctuating around the brown bear's body, and let go, dropping the white fox to the ground. Li Diep touched the ground and turned to look at me in disbelief, seemingly not expecting me to actually let go. She dashed toward the brown bear at a speed of 0.008 meters per second, looking back 3 times for every step. By the 4th look, she looked at me uncertainly. You're really not going to stop me? I glanced at the energy on the bear. The bear had been eating spiritual stones all afternoon. Its energy was at least 50 times that of the white fox. Who would kill whom was yet to be seen. I smiled at her. It's fine. Let me see your skills, kid. After you kill it, my heart will only have you. The white fox's claws scraped the ground hesitantly, a bit swayed by my words. But when she caught sight of the energy on the brown bear that made her feel threatened, she cooed and walked back toward my legs. Forget it. This time your attitude of admitting fault was good. I forgive this date of yours. Next time it's not allowed. I was momentarily speechless. The brown bear divided the spiritual stones into 3 piles, a small pile for itself, another small pile that looked like a tiny mountain, and one massive pile. Brother, this much is enough for me. Li Diep stared at the massive pile, her eyes shining. A sour voice rang in my head. You man, this black bear is quite generous toward you. The brown bear pointed to the small pile. Brother, this is enough for your cultivation. Then it pointed to the massive pile. Give all of that to little sister! Li Diep's voice exploded. You man, this black bear. It seems it doesn't have feelings for you. Could it have feelings for me? I flicked her head. Is there nothing in your head besides romance? Why do you think that way about everything? Li Diep was still unconvinced. I said gently, there's food. Do you want it? She immediately became obedient. I looked worriedly at the brown bear. If I clear this place out, will Anlak-on harm you? The bear shook its head. Brother, that woman listens to everything I say now. The next day, Anlak-on looked at the empty spiritual vein and stood dazed. You used up all the spiritual stones? All of them? The brown bear nodded. That tiny bit of vein wasn't even enough to get stuck in my teeth. It continued. Didn't you want me to awaken the frost resistance within half a month? I just felt a little something. I think I've reached the threshold. Hearing this, Anlak-on's expression softened slightly, though she was still bothered by the bear eating an entire vein just to increase its energy a tiny bit. It's good that you can awaken, but your bloodline is just too poor. Eating that much, and your energy only increased this much. The brown bear didn't care. Complaining about my low bloodline? You could have chosen not to pick me back then. I didn't beg you. Now all the pressure is on me. If my spirit gets stressed, the talent skill might not even awaken. Anlak-on understood clearly the horror of the extreme frost apocalypse. Half a month later, the brown bear's frost resistance skill would be the key to saving her life. Hearing that the bear might fail to awaken, she immediately became frantic. Don't feel pressured? I didn't mean it that way. If I looked down on you, I wouldn't have chosen you in the first place, all right? Go cultivate. I'll learn some more spiritual stones for you. Not too many, just 10 truckloads will be enough. Anlak-on was so angry she nearly crushed her teeth. 10 truckloads? The brown bear didn't mind at all. If you give me 10 truckloads, maybe I can awaken high-level frost resistance for 10 miles, making everyone within a 60 kilometers radius unafraid of the cold. In the extreme frost apocalypse, if she could protect people within 60 kilometers from the cold, how would she be any different from an apocalypse queen? Anlak-on nodded. Fine, you wait. If it's 10 truckloads, then 10 truckloads it is. I'll find a way to get them. The apocalypse was coming. Money was nothing more than a pile of waste paper. Although Anlak-on's family was prominent, no one believed her claims about the extreme frost apocalypse. They even mocked her for wanting to use 10 truckloads of spiritual stones to help a low-level soul beast awaken frost resistance. This kind of useless talent did not receive the support of her family. Anlak-on could only sell off all her assets, from cars and designer bags to jewelry. When I saw her again at school, she was still wearing her old clothes from before. For lunch, she only gnawed on a white steamed bun dipped in chili sauce. Clearly, she had truly poured her entire fortune into the brown bear, but she didn't know that out of those 10 truckloads of spiritual stones exchanged for her entire fortune, only a tiny portion was kept by the brown bear for itself. The remaining 99.99% had slipped straight into the pockets of me and the white fox. We only used 1 or 2 spiritual stones occasionally to cultivate and maintain spiritual energy circulation. The rest was all given to the white fox. The white fox's speed in devouring spiritual stones was extremely fast. She fell into a deep sleep, and the spiritual stones from the divine land were sucked dry by a powerful force in an instant, turning into ash. The spiritual energy reflected back to me from the white fox's cultivation made me many times stronger than in my previous life. As for Anlak-on, her current spiritual energy was not even equal to that of other classmates because, for the sake of the brown bear, she hadn't used a single spiritual stone for herself. The brown bear frequently used psychological tactics. If you give me even 1 spiritual stone less and cause me to fail my awakening, don't you dare blame me. Everyone said Anlak-on's life was ruined. To these rumors, Anlak-on turned a deaf ear. In a few days, you all will know that I was the one who was right. One day before the event occurred, In the middle of a sweltering summer, the nighttime temperature suddenly dropped sharply. Snowflakes fell all over the globe. At first, people joked that snow in June surely meant there was a great injustice. But by noon the next day, the global temperature had dropped to -20 degrees. People began to panic. With such abnormal weather, they wondered if something major was about to happen. The snow fell thicker and thicker with absolutely no sign of stopping. Unsurprisingly, the school summoned all students to the dormitories. In the girls' dormitory, An-Lak-On shivered, wrapped tightly in a cotton quilt. Having not cultivated for a long time, her spiritual energy was very weak, only slightly stronger than an average person's. Her nose was red from the cold, and she constantly wiped her nose. Dong Hung, have you finished awakening your talent yet? Dong Hung lay prone on the ground, slowly gnawing on snacks. As time passed, its size had grown several times over. It had entered its juvenile period. Don't rush, it's almost time. In An-Lak-On's heart, suspicion gradually arose. She was thinking that in the previous life, she was so poor. The snacks she could give the brown bear were surely far inferior to what she provided in this life. So why did it take so much effort this time? Brown bear, are you hiding something from me? Brown bear, for whom am I cultivating? You actually dare to suspect me? Originally, I thought that even if my talent wasn't fully awakened, I could share a bit of warmth with you first. Now, it seems I should just return these snacks to you. I don't need them anymore. Wait a moment. I didn't mean that. Dong Hung snorted coldly. I'll let you off this time. While gnawing on snacks, it shared a sliver of warmth with An-Lak-On. It really was just a sliver. It was afraid An-Lak-On would freeze to death before the apocalypse truly arrived. That wouldn't be any fun at all. Feeling that sliver of warmth, An-Lak-On no longer doubted. After signing a soul beast contract, whether human or beast, cultivation would reflect 1/10 of the spiritual energy back to the partner. The spiritual energy the brown bear reflected back to An-Lak-On was always very little. It appeared that it truly wasn't absorbing much. But An-Lak-On didn't know that it wasn't because the brown bear absorbed little, but because in a master-servant contract, the brown bear could arbitrarily control the amount reflected back. In another dormitory, I snuggled under the covers using a projector screen to watch movies. All the snacks in the room had turned to dust. But the white fox lying on the white sheepskin rug still hadn't woken up. Unconsciously, it had grown from a cub to the size of an adult soul beast. I reached down to check its breathing. It was still breathing. The clock on the wall gradually pointed towards 0. The apocalypse was truly coming. This life, the white fox surely wouldn't freeze to death on the first day, right? The bell chimed, and the global temperature plummeted again without restraint. The thermometer in the room showed the temperature had reached -50 degrees. As a cultivator, plus the reflection from the white fox, I had enough spiritual energy to resist this extreme cold. Outside the window, the snow fell heavier and heavier, burying an entire floor. The homeroom teacher began taking attendance in the group, requiring everyone to report their status and be ready for rescue at any time. Meanwhile, due to the extreme frost, there was a shortage of manpower. The school urgently recruited volunteers. I signed up, taking responsibility for distributing supplies to the dormitories. When I reached An-Lak-On's dormitory, I bypassed it directly. One by one, classmates confirmed they had received supplies in the group. An-Lak-On mentioned me. What's going on? Where are my supplies? I directly released several photos, all evidence that An-Lak-On had stockpiled a large amount of goods at the supermarket beforehand. I replied that currently supplies were scarce, and the heavy snow could last a long time. I thought supplies should be left for those who needed them most. Classmates one by one left comments. Did the class monitor know the news early? Why stockpile so much? With so much stuff already, why compete with us? Isn't she the class monitor? Why doesn't she share her supplies with us? An-Lak-On was immediately pushed to the peak of moral judgment. She even scolded me. What are you pretending for? Didn't you also know the apocalypse was coming? You also stockpiled goods, so why don't you bring your stuff out to share? I sent 2 photos of empty instant noodle boxes. I didn't know about any apocalypse. Everyone knows my family is poor. I saw the supermarket had a sale, so I bought a few noodles. Just now, I distributed them all to my friends. The teacher also confirmed in the group. The 10 packs of noodles everyone received were indeed from Huang Yan, who used her own supplies. Classmates began to gossip again. Look at her! See how generous Huang Yan is! Anlak-on spoke, but no one in the group responded anymore. However, a private message was immediately sent. Huang Yan, even if you get a good reputation, so what? That useless white fox of yours must have frozen to death by now, right? I lifted the sleeping face of the white fox and sent Anlak-on a video. Are you talking about this white fox that's sleeping like a pig? In the video, the white fox had its eyes closed, but its breathing was long and powerful. Clearly, it was very healthy. Quote, "Impossible. This video must have been filmed before. That useless beast develops slowly and has a weak body. It must be dead by now." I yawned, not bothering to pay her any more attention. Even with spiritual energy protecting me, the bone-chilling cold still made me slightly shivery. Just as I was about to get a spare blanket, a warm stream of spiritual energy suddenly covered my entire body. I was all too familiar with this feeling. It was the warmth from the frost resistance skill shared by the brown bear. Bear, even without a contract, can you share your skill with me? I have successfully awakened 10-mile frost resistance. I then remembered that the brown bear's talent was not originally frost resistance, but frost resistance strength. In the previous life, my power was limited, and I couldn't provide enough snacks in a short time for the brown bear to fully awaken and protect me. It had forced an awakening and only received a low-level version. I laughed and asked how Anlak-on was. The brown bear shared its vision with me. Because she was convinced she wouldn't be cold after the bear awakened, Anlak-on hadn't prepared thick blankets at all. At this moment, she was wrapped in a summer quilt, her face already purple from the cold and her teeth chattering. Still haven't successfully awakened yet? The brown bear, in its juvenile period, jumped onto the bed and gave its rump a swing. Thud! Anlak-on fell to the floor. The cold stone floor collided with her stiff body. Crack! Crack! Several sounds. Who knows how many bones were broken? Anlak-on was in so much pain her face contorted, and she let out a pathetic scream. What are you doing? The brown bear said, I have good news to tell you. I've successfully awakened. Anlak-on's eyes lit up, regardless of the pain. Quickly share it with me. I'm about to freeze to death. The brown bear mocked. When did I say I would share it with you? I went bankrupt to help you awaken. On what basis do you not share it? Contract! We established a contract. Even if you don't give it to me, I can still get your power. Open your eyes and look closely at what kind of contract we established. Anlak-on carefully checked the contract, and only then discovered that 2 parts of the formation pattern had been modified. In Dong Heng's eyes, a look of contempt appeared. Look closely. This is a master-servant contract. Someone like you is worthy of sharing my skill? Anlak-on collapsed on the floor, stunned, as if struck by lightning. Could it be that you are also reborn? During the day after the extreme frost apocalypse descended, global temperatures were no longer announced. Just like the previous life, electricity, water, and the network were completely paralyzed. That night, many people never woke up again. 5 days later, school order completely collapsed. Many classmates had run out of supplies and began to snatch food from others. Outside my room, several international students arrived. I silently calculated my current strength. With the frost protection from the brown bear, plus the massive spiritual energy from the white fox's reflection, even the teachers in school were no match for me, let alone these kinds of people. Hearing the frantic pounding on the door outside, I gathered spiritual energy in my palm. Before I could strike, a massive wave of energy suddenly erupted from inside my room. All I heard outside was a chaotic mess of people falling over. The white fox still had its eyes closed, curled up on the rug. A divine sense carrying a cold echo transmitted outside the door. Scram! Those at the door scrambled away in terror. I stroked the white fox's head. Kid, are you about to wake up? In Anlak-on's dormitory, people also wanted to break in, but all were driven away by the brown bear. With the bear there, Anlak-on wasn't dead yet, but she was 1 foot in the grave. She lay flat on the floor. Her broken bone wounds had rotted and stunk. Every time she was about to lose consciousness, she was woken up by the brown bear, who needed to use the bathroom. dousing her with hot urine. The brown bear had a good memory and held a long grudge. It used its memories from the previous life to find every single person who had joined Anlakoan in harming me. It found them one by one, and all were bitten to death, other people in the school who had no grudge with it. The brown bear simply stopped hiding and deployed its 10-mile frost resistance skill. Within the entire campus, everyone felt a stream of warmth flowing through their bodies as if protected by a deity. Anlakoan, lying on the floor waiting for death, also felt that warmth. But the warmth that was a blessing to others was a death warrant for her. Her internal organs had already shattered after the fall. The extreme cold had delayed the rotting. But now, with the sudden thaw, the organs began to rot rapidly. Stiff, she lay on the floor wanting to move to a comfortable position, but couldn't move. From her eyes, nose, ears, and the corners of her mouth, a foul-smelling pus slowly flowed. Until death, she did not close her eyes. Early that morning, I felt my body was exceptionally warm. Opening my eyes, a soft body was pressing down on me. It was a face as beautiful as a sculpture, with clear features. Slender arms tightly hugged my head. Looking down, I could see seductive curves. Her whole body was as hot and humid as a heater. I moved slightly, and those long, narrow eyes lazily opened, revealing light brown eyes, unlike an ordinary person's. The familiar aura in her gaze made me ask tentatively, "Li Diep?" The corners of her mouth curled up happily. She casually tossed the blanket to the floor. The biting cold air hit my skin, but her warm breath also enveloped me, making me instinctively press closer to her chest. She rolled over, propping her forearms on the bed. Leaning over directly above me, I blinked nervously looking at her. Her cute little face was tightened with beautiful lines. Her white skin looked cleaner than milk and full of vitality. Her waist-length hair fell like a waterfall, brushing against my collarbone. A white, fluffy tail swayed gently behind her back. A low, seductive voice rang out. "You man thinking of me? I can't anymore." Just based on this "you man," I was certain this was Li Diep. I glared at her. "You finally know how to wake up?" She gave a soft laugh, her voice so good it made my ears tingle. She asserted confidently, "Were you worried about me?" I said, "Regardless, I couldn't wish for you to die." She leaned down and gave me a light kiss on the lips. "You man, your mouth still isn't well behaved at all." I covered my mouth and widened my eyes. "Li Diep, that was my first kiss." Li Diep's smile deepened. "It wasn't the first kiss. We've kissed before. We already made our mark long ago." The reason she slept so long was that she was awakening her talent. Li Diep had a noble bloodline. The difficulty of awakening far exceeded other soul beasts. Fortunately, after so many days, she finally succeeded. "Li Diep, what is your talent?" Li Diep's voice was lazy. "Big." I widened my eyes at her. "Big?" I took a glance. It indeed didn't look small, but as a noble soul beast, for a talent to be just that seemed a bit nonsensical. The corners of Li Diep's mouth tucked into a smug curve, pretending to be serious while teasing me. "Why is your face turning red? Are you thinking about something else?" I meant the range of my talent skill is very big. While we were talking, the snow outside the window had stopped at some point. The thick layers of clouds gradually dissipated, and the sun, not seen for a long time, appeared, shining warm sunlight onto the ground. I heard surprised cheers coming from within the school. "Look, the sun is out. The temperature doesn't seem so cold anymore. This is great. The apocalypse is finally about to pass." I heard Li Diep's voice by my ear. "The white fox is an omen of good fortune. The talent I awakened is all things spring." Li Diep's beautiful face pressed close to my ear, her warm breath fanning lightly on my neck, her fluffy tail rubbing against my stomach as if acting spoiled. "Nian Nian, how do you plan to reward me?"